Jordan Peterson has a lot of ways to describe his misogynistic thoughts and naturalize them. Watch him work himself into a pretzel over having to treat men, women, non-binary people, trans people equally when a conversation starts.
Let's say you have a non-standard gender identity. Okay, what the hell are other people supposed to do about that? Like, what are the rules here, right? Because if you're a woman, I kind of know how to treat you. I'm going to do it in a stereotyped way to begin with, because I don't know who the hell you are. So I'm going to use, low resolution approximations, and those are going to be stereotypes. They're no different than categories. And then when I get to know you,
All right, I'm sorry. They're no different than categories. Oh, that makes me feel better, right? Why normal people have to categorize their mind of how they're going to treat somebody in an initial interaction differently, right? I mean, if he knows he's speaking to a woman, right? He's gonna color that conversation differently than if he were to be speaking with a man. How does that difference manifest itself? We know, especially when we look at his recent commentary about how it might be better to protect women if they were still the property of men. Just a thought experiment. This is how psychos think.
Jordan Peterson is prepping his audience to have basically an antisocial meltdown with this sort of need for explicit rules. No, if you have a conversation, let's just walk through this. Let's do a couple settings. One, a professional setting. This I heard this example talking about all the freak out of pregnant persons. They want to call it pregnant persons. Well, if you actually work in a medical area where people are helping give birth care, you can generally say woman, you can generally say she. You're probably going to get away with that a lot of the time. But on the one instance where you're going to upset somebody because they don't go by she, they might go by they. It's not your business how they got impregnated. You're going to need to just be like, oh, sorry, I apologize.
It's manners, right?
Yeah, my bad. And then you accept their pronoun identification after that, and it's not like this thing where you're going to jail. Jordan Peterson, this entire hysterical freak out of we need to know the rules before we get thrown in jail because we get upset somebody being offended. No, when that happens, you just say okay, and then what happens is either you're there for it or you turn into some freak and say this is against God or this is against biology, and that's your problem.
I mean, standards and norms about manners have been updated throughout history, just broadly, right? I mean, this will eventually get incorporated into people's set of manners, but we don't curtsy and bow when we see each other anymore. That kind of went by the wayside. So too will the changing norms about how to speak with somebody when you don't have their gender at the top of their head. But go back to the beginning, because again, as you say, Matt, the entire premise of his aggrievement is just so hysterical, because it's all about how you make me feel by being yourself.
Yes.
And that level of entitlement is just what he speaks to with his largely, male audience that doesn't want to change or update their mentality based on society changing. So he makes them feel emboldened.
And I like that you brought up the curtsying and the doffing your top cap.
Yeah.
Because you could say the exact same thing about, we don't do that anymore.
Right.
I need the rules, otherwise, yeah.
But I mean, based on his commitment to the 3-piece suit thing, maybe that's exactly where he'd prefer to position himself in history. Keep going.
Let's say you have a non-standard gender identity. Okay, what the hell are other people supposed to do about that? What are the rules here, right? Because if you're a woman, I kind of know how to treat you. I'm going to do it in a stereotyped way to begin with, because I don't know who the hell you are. So I'm going to use low resolution approximations.
Again, what is this? What do you mean? What do I have to do? Again, what's a situation like a dating situation? You go up to somebody you think she's a she, and that they're attractive, and you say, I want to date you, sweet cheeks. I don't know what his what his sort of stereotypical interactions are like, whatever.
Sweet cheeks.
And then that person that you were propositioning says, actually, fine, but I think you should know that I'm non-binary, for instance. And then Jordan, it's up to you to decide how you're going to react.
Yes.
Like, there's not going to be a rule book that says, oh, actually, give them a lecture on what you think about rules with regards to like gender and biology, or about like what God says about this sort of thing. Like, you could just say, oh, okay, interesting. I'm here for that. I want to learn more about that. I don't know. Like, I'm new to this. Or you can, absolutely freak out. And Jordan Peterson is basically just giving license to people to freak out in those moments
and say, how dare you impose this upon me? But your hypothetical is too generous, because he's not even saying that this is a sexual situation or a dating one. That's the only instance where I feel like my interactions with human beings are a little bit gendered, right? Like if I was trying to date somebody or hook up with somebody, right? Like that's what would change the tenor of that conversation. But other than that, I just approach people like human beings with basic decency.
What are the gendered low resolution classifications or stereotypes? It's basically the same thing. What are these that you're deploying? Be specific, Jordan.
I mean, I truly think that he's trying to see, right, exactly, if he should tip his top hat. And he is in a Joker outfit there, by the way, right? Like that is what Joaquin Phoenix was wearing to an extent. It's very a very bold choice, but here we go.
The hell you are. So I'm going to use, low resolution approximations, and those are going to be stereotypes. They're no different than categories. And then when I get to know you, I'll particularize it. But if I don't know whether you're male or female, what the hell should I do with you? You don't know, because you don't know what the rules are. And so the simplest...
What do you mean you don't know?
They do know. Well, this is, he's incredibly patriarchal.
This is denial of trans existence entirely.
Right. You don't know. You don't know the rules. You're mentally ill. That's it.
Yeah.
Also, extend this to just other groups of people. Like, say somebody doesn't speak the same language as you. Like, is this an imposition on you that you don't have the exact social norms that you can apply and categorize it in your mind immediately? I mean, this is a psychotic way to view human interaction.
And he's full of shit with this low resolution thing, because if it's so definite, like you have a pretty high resolution. Like why is there any low? This is 1080p. There's male and female. That's it, Jordan.
It's amazing.
And it's clear. And there's never any sort of slippage between the stereotype / category.
The idea that he can't really engage in a thought experiment about how to treat human beings as equals shows how intellectually lazy he is when he pretends to be this, trailblazing thought creator.
And how fundamentalist he is. The idea that you can't socially determine this in like a group of two people interacting, and you need some sort of divine rule, like whether it's God or whether it's logic, that's fundamentalism.
Yes.
For me to do is just not do anything with you. The simplest thing for me to do is go find someone else.
How about shut up about him then?
Yeah.
And stop making an entire public persona based on your being oppressed and perhaps sent to the gulag because you don't want to adhere to their so-called edict.
Yeah, every non-binary person's like, that works for me.
A hell of a lot less trouble. And who's willing to abide by the social norms enough so that they don't present a mass of indeterminate confusion on immediate confrontation. And then,
confrontation.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the way he speaks about social interaction in and of itself, stripping out all of the bigotry, it's just genuinely harmful for his audience that already clearly is going to him because they struggle in that area. And the way he presents it is so antisocial and honestly creates a mountain out of a molehill. It's really not that hard. Just be nice to people and connect with people. Even if, it's harder for you and it doesn't come as easy, maybe that's just been a struggle for you your entire life. Don't listen to this guy because he's creating all of these guardrails to connection and then pretending like it's everybody else's fault when he's the one putting up the barriers in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. There's I think there's a lot of people who watch this shit and they definitely just want to engage in hate. But I also think there's a lot of people who are just effing confused because of the type of culture that raising these people
pickup artists are the same culture too, right?
Exactly. And like they want a sort of they do want to know how to react in these situations because like they've been told that it's cataclysmic if you do it incorrectly. And this is exactly the wrong sort of advice to be given these people, that that there's so also like this amount of confusion. There's not that much confusion. Like the confusion is only if you think that these categories, which he himself said were like low resolution, stereotypical, are definite and work in every single case. And we just know, and we've known this, like this isn't a recent thing with like trans people. Like I remember like it was like androgyny was like the term in like the 90s, and and in North Dakota there were people like that, right? So it's not like this like some coastal thing. Like this is a ridiculous hysteric, and it's exactly the wrong advice for people who like are genuinely like confused about how to react to this stuff.